It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in. It's another edition of the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, streaming on 1069thefan.com and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Lots of different ways to tune in and be a part of the show in real time or on the podcast feed, on the podcast, period. You can find it on various different podcast feeds. You can find it on our website and on our app. Last hour has been posted. But we covered a lot of different topics last hour. News this afternoon that appears that report is that Ike Larson could be suspended up to 6 weeks. We are working to confirm that. Also, Stu Morrill is going to be inducted into the Utah Sports Hall of Fame. It's going to be coming up in mid-September, September 22nd. We just happen to have another Hall of Famer in the building who knew Stu Morrill very, very well. That was Al Lewis. And so we pulled him into the studio, talked to him for a bit. We revealed our latest top 25 Aggies of 2025. It was Trey Anderson. And then also talked about Utah State women's soccer getting a nice win last night up in Pullman, Washington at Washington State. So this hour, we still have a lot of things to get through. Another Utah State opponent preview. I got a chance to go visit with some players after practice today. We'll hear from them and continue to look at there's a big event tomorrow for Utah State football and opportunities for fans to meet some of these players who we've been able to profile and highlight. Now you get a chance to meet with them tomorrow. So we'll talk about that event Utah State's hosting tomorrow. But Jason, let's get into, well, a reminder, if you want to chime in on any of these topics, the Young Power Sports of Logan text line is open, 435-339-0321. And if you want to weigh in on anything, we always invite you to participate in that. But we're going to talk a little bit about Utah State and the football season, looking at their next opponent in your previews that you've been publishing on Cache Valley Daily, this time San Jose State.
Yeah, so that's going to be their seventh opponent of the season. It'll be, I think, their third in conference play. So they'll have played a Hawaii Air Force, and then it'll be San Jose, unless I forgot one of them. But yeah, this is, I'll say this, because this isn't in my preview, because it's something that happened today. Somebody posted something today and they said, I'm predicting San Jose will go 10-2. Let me ask you, what do you think about that? Just first thought. Doesn't need to be complicated. First thought. 10-2.
First thought is that seems aggressive.
Yeah.
I need to look at their schedule, but that seems a bit aggressive. I think they're going to be a good team, but that seems a bit much.
And here's the thing. That would have been pretty much my first impression, too. It's like, no. But they broke it down game by game, and I was like, you know what? I kind of see it. I don't think they're going to go 10-2, because basically he had them winning all the coin flip games. So
that's really tough to do.
Yeah, if I did that for Utah State, they'd go 8-4. But yeah, San Jose State, I think we're kind of locked into this mode of San Jose State's still a pushover team. And I don't think they're that anymore.
I agree.
They're a lot like, they're basically consistently becoming some of the mediocre Utah State teams over the years. Like the Utah State teams of kind of the later Blake Anderson era, at least as far as their ability to get wins, where they're going to beat some of the teams they should beat. They'll probably lose to all the teams that they should lose to, but they're starting to beat the teams that are the doormats that they used to be. And so it's kind of interesting looking at San Jose, where there's part of you that's like, look, Utah State won like 6 or 7 straight games against San Jose. Oh, that was broken in 2023 when San Jose State beat the Aggies and beat them handily. I think it was on the road. And beat them pretty good and had a really great second half against the Aggies. And then, you have last year where they had a decent record. And this year you look at their schedule, and if you kind of go off what they've been the last year or so, it's like, because they've had 3 straight seasons of 7 wins. They went 7-5, then 7-6, and that was last year of Brent Brennan. He goes to Arizona.
Yeah.
Going 7-6 at San Jose State got him a Power 5 job. And then Ken Niumatalolo. I just can't say. I had to like copy paste his name all the different times I put it in my articles, like, so otherwise I'm not spelling it.
It's a lot
right
to spell out, yeah.
But he came in, goes 7-6 last year, and so they're keeping up this consistent mediocrity, if you will. But it's becoming the new baseline for them. And so it makes it interesting kind of previewing this. And it obviously gets really hard because now instead of previewing the first, second, or third game, I'm previewing more than halfway through the season, trying to figure out what these games are going to be like. What trajectory are these teams going to be on? Is Utah State going to be like, 3-3? Are they going to be 4-2? Are they going to be 1-5? Who knows? Is San Jose State, are they going to be like 5-1 coming into this game, or 4-2? It's just kind of interesting looking at that. But to take an actual look at San Jose State, the biggest thing for them, obviously, is that they lost some really good wide receiving talent. Not just Nick Nash, but there was their second leading receiver too. Justin Lockhart. Because Nick Nash, he won the Triple Crown and got robbed of the Biletnikoff Trophy. Justin Lockhart had 53 receptions for 983 yards. That's enough to lead most teams in the FBS, especially most, G5 teams, where a lot of them, they're a coin flip whether or not their leading receiver has 1,000 yards, and if not, they're in the 800 to 900 range. So Justin Lockhart is like a number one caliber receiver, and he was their number 2 guy. And they lost their number 1 guy. So they lost some pretty big weapons. Although, outside of that on offense, they bring back most everybody else. A lot of the offensive line. They bring back their starting running back. For what it's worth, their starting running back didn't get a ton of yards. And heck, their starting running back had like 700 yards last year. Although he might end up splitting carries with an incoming guy they have. He's a freshman who played a couple of games last year but could be taking a bigger role this year. Lamar Radcliffe is the guy. The running back from last year, Cliff was his name? Chalk, excuse me.
Chalk.
It started with a C. Floyd Chalk. 721 yards, 10 touchdowns. So they have him coming back, but he's probably going to split carries with a guy who's going to be a sophomore this upcoming year. So they do have that. So, when you look at their offense, they lost the best wide receiver over the course of the season for the Mountain West. You're talking whether the Jalen Royals would have been able to match some of those numbers. Maybe, maybe not. But Nick Nash was the best wide receiver in the Mountain West last year. They lose him. They lose a guy who, if it weren't for Nick Nash, he probably would have caught 1,200 yards and a bunch more touchdowns. They lose him as well. So they lost big weapons in the pass game. I think that's going to have a big impact on their returning quarterback, Walker Eget. And, of course, he's got an interesting story because you had Emmett Brown, who was balling out, throwing 300-yard games. I think it's benched for Walker Eget. That's how good this guy was. Really nice first name, though, by the way.
Yes.
It might be in the wrong place, though. Could be would be more useful as a last name. But he replaces the guy who'd been playing pretty well and manages to have a pretty good rest of the season. I think he started the final 7 games of the season and was pretty efficient, had good production. But how is he going to do now when he doesn't have Nick Nash that he's throwing to? He doesn't have Justin Lockhart as a secondary guy to throw to. How is the offense going to function beyond that? I think that's one of the biggest things to answer about San Jose is you have everyone coming back on the offense except for arguably your 2 best players. So how do you weather losing your 2 superstar players? So this comes back to how good are you as a team? Are you more of a team, or were you someone who was reliant on those star players?
Yeah, this is a San Jose State team that's got a good number of that offensive line up front. They've got good tight ends. They have to replace that production at wide receiver, but they got some good transfers coming in. Defensively, will they be able to slow teams down? That's kind of the underrated thing about San Jose these last few years is how much improved they've been defensively. And so I think this will be a team that might be able to move the ball up and down the field, but can they prevent others from doing the same?
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing there. I mentioned how the offense returns just about everybody, a lot of the important guys, or a lot of the key players aside from the star players. The defense is kind of just about the opposite. They return Justin Pollard, who's first-team All-Mountain West linebacker. I think if I remember, he led the league in tackles. Oh, Jordan Pollard, excuse me, not Justin Pollard. They got another defensive back, Isaiah Rivas. They got another linebacker. I'm going to butcher his name, Taniela Latu.
Yeah, good job.
Close enough. So they have some of those guys returning, but when you look at the guys they lost versus the guys they still have, 8 of the top 12 players in snaps played for the Spartans are gone. So they return like the stars, but not very much else in terms of their, top snap getters and, leaders in production on defense. So it's kind of this where the offense has a pretty good baseline because they're returning a lot of talent, but what's their ceiling? Do they have, that kind of ceiling breaker star where they can be really good on offense? And then on defense, you got those stars, and maybe they can kind of set a floor themselves, but are you going to have an entire unit? And especially on defense, where you've got to have that entire unit on the same page. You're only as strong as your weakest link on defense. And so is San Jose State going to be able to keep what's been a pretty solid baseline of defense? Are they going to be able to keep that up? So, yeah, so there's a few things that are interesting about this San Jose State team. Not only are they trying to, now that they've set this new baseline of 7 wins, 3 straight years, San Jose State fans are used to the fact that, hey, they don't suck anymore.
Yeah, we might actually have a decent program.
Yeah. And so now it's just like what the Aggies faced. Oh, we don't suck now. You go through the 2010s. All right, now we expect to be good. And San Jose State is going through that transition. UNLV's gone through that transition. And now they're to the point where they're super arrogant about it.
Yeah, they may be a little bit more crossing over to delusional. But.
Yeah, but San Jose State, of course, they don't have too many vocal fans anyway. But at least I don't follow them on Twitter. Maybe they are there.
They've been so moribund for so long.
Yeah,
they're trying to rebuild from the bottom up.
Yeah, they're just starting to wake up, I think. And that's where they're going to start to expect more. Because once you set the new baseline, then you're reaching higher. Before they were reaching for it, please just let us get to a bowl game. Just let us get to that. Now they're doing that. Now you reach higher. And that's the job of Ken Niumatalolo.
Very good.
Okay. I had to really work through that.
You had to really roll through all the
all the syllables there.
All the motions of the tongue to get that out.
My apologies to Ken. I'm not a jerk. I'm just bad at my job. So, yeah, there's a lot of these interesting things with San Jose. And, of course, by the time we get to this game, we're going to know what both these teams are. They're going to be well into their season. Their stories are going to be, halfway done. We're going to know who these two teams are. So there won't be nearly this much confusion between these two teams. But as we start out, this is where these teams are starting from. They're going to meet in October. But, San Jose, they're kind of like Utah State. They're trying to step back into bowl contention, being in a bowl game. San Jose State's there, and they're trying to jump into the 8-9 win territory. So they're a year ahead of where Utah State is in terms of building back up toward being a contender. But does San Jose State take that step forward, or do they take that step back?
Yeah, that's the great question. Boise State is the class of the conference traditionally, and I think they will be again this year. UNLV, I think, has a good case to be right behind them, not at the same level, but right in the mix. But that third team, it could either be, in my mind, Fresno State or San Jose State. And right now, I give San Jose State the edge over the Bulldogs just because of kind of the momentum that's been building there at San Jose and a little bit more experienced coach on the sidelines for the Spartans.
Yeah, to be honest, I think San Jose could be very comparable to Colorado State last year. Not in terms of style or all those kind of things. I'm not even really considering any of that. But remember what Colorado State was last year? They went 9-4 or something like that. And nobody believed that they were actually a legit team because they played a weak schedule. And I think San Jose State, they avoid Boise. They avoid UNLV. Like, that's what Colorado State did last year. So I feel like San Jose could come into this game against Utah State as a pseudo contender, where it's like, hey, if they keep winning, they're going to end up in the title game. And if they, so they'll be riding. They could very easily be riding a lot of momentum, which can make teams better. If you're believing in yourself and you're winning, you play better. And so, or I guess in other cases, maybe you could, you're flying too close to the sun. But I tend to believe that when things are going well, you tend to play better, so long as you keep locked in. And so Utah State could be facing a team that's really believing in themselves, really believing in the process. And if San Jose State's constantly buying in and believing in themselves, that could lead to a loss. Whereas otherwise, perhaps these two teams could be roughly equal on paper. But it's entirely possible that circumstances may lead San Jose State to be better. Although Utah State, they're going to be coming off of games against Hawaii, and it was Vanderbilt before that. So maybe they're coming off a win against Hawaii. Maybe. We'll see. We talked about how close that game could be. Seattle, how these two teams go into this game could very well have an impact.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, the timing of things and what kind of momentum are they riding going into this matchup. But it's a game that's going to be a little bit deeper into the schedule. Utah State and San Jose, October 17th here in Logan. And it'll be nationally broadcast on CBS Sports Network. You find it locally on radio on KVNU. Longtime home of Utah State sports, 102.1 FM, 610 AM.
Yeah. And as far as a kind of preseason prediction at the moment, I've got this as a close loss. I like to tell you what I think of San Jose. I leaned to wins against Hawaii and Air Force. I leaned toward the optimistic, but I think there's more stability right now, I think, with San Jose. They got a bit more returning production. I think they're 68th in returning production. Although I think Hawaii is like 70, so they're not too far behind. But I think there's a little more stability. Ken, he's got this, again, I think he's providing a little more stability than maybe Timmy Chang is. I know Troy Calhoun provides a lot of stability to Air Force, but they have so many unknowns with what's going on. They may not be ready early in the season. So I lean toward Utah State wins with Hawaii and Air Force. But I think with San Jose State, it's another one of those coin flip games. But we're landing on tails with this one.
Right. All right. So your thoughts on San Jose? Is this one that Utah State can get, or the Spartans just going to have just a little too much for Utah State when they meet in October? 435-339-0321. We're going to say goodbye to Jason. Jason's got to get up to the stadium, the Logan High Stadium, as this beginning of high school football, and we want to make sure everything's going to work for you. Yeah,
I got to be there extra early in case things go wrong.
Yeah, so we're going to let Jason go, but we got a lot more to get through. Our latest player on our top 25 Aggies of 2025. We'll reveal who that is, and also the audio from post-practice today. I got a chance to visit with Brady Boyd and John Gayer to hear their thoughts about how practice has been going so far and their invitation to fans. We'll hear about that next, coming up on the Full Court Press.
Hey, business owners, are you frustrated with your workers' comp rates? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners agency, we work with multiple carriers and will give you options. Our experienced agents are ready to answer your questions and help you navigate these options. Let us help you find the workers' comp policy that's right for your business. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
When grid failures and severe weather cause power outages, your business might take a hit, or at home, you could lose your refrigerated food storage. Generac Standby Power Solutions help ensure an uninterrupted power supply. Generac is the #1 brand of standby generators. Get yours today from Golden Spike Electric, your trusted source for safety and security. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Passion, enthusiasm, extraordinary skill. Isn't that what you want from a chef? From salads to seafood, wood-fired pizzas to unique pastas and succulent steaks, the Elements Restaurant chefs have spent hours creating choices for you. A casual dining experience for lunch or dinner with daily specials and menu choices that always deliver excellence. The Elements is a complete dining experience for everyday dining and for special occasions in your life. Appreciate elevated simplicity. Only at the Elements Restaurant, 750-5171.
CashValleyDaily.com, your go-to source for all things local. Catch the adrenaline of live local sports and the latest news involving the Utah State Aggies. But that's not all. Get plugged into the pulse of your community with our comprehensive local news coverage. From city council decisions to feature stories highlighting people in your own neighborhood, we've got you covered. Don't miss out on crucial information that affects you and your loved ones on CashValleyDaily.com. Stay informed, engaged, and empowered, because staying local means staying connected.
Following the local teams, it's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
It's happening tomorrow. It's the big warehouse parts sale at Young Power Sports of Logan. It's going to be taking place from 10 to 4:30. Discounts up to 75% off on overstock parts. 75% off all kinds of parts from 2019 and older. Polaris RZR, General, Can-Am X3, Defender, and more. If you ride it, they probably got the part for it. But when they're gone, they're gone. Again, it's tomorrow, August 16th from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at Young Power Sports on South Main in Logan. Continuing our discussion about Utah State football, we've been revealing normally 2 players a day, one each hour here on the Full Court Press. Just the 25 most impactful players for the upcoming 2025 football season. No particular order. There's no rank here, but we continue to highlight some of these different players that we believe, our panel of judges, if you will, believe are going to be players that will make a difference for this upcoming season. So there are about 6 different people in our group who submitted names, and we compiled them together to create this list. And now we're going to introduce the latest on that list. And maybe in light of today's news, his role is going to be even bigger. But this is the next player in our top 25 Aggies for 2025.
The Cache Valley Media Group's annual Top 25 Aggies continues today with another player reveal. The next player on the list is defensive back Noah Avinger. Avinger stands 6 feet tall and weighs in at 190 pounds. Utah State is his 3rd school, having played at San Diego State and New Mexico in his career. Avinger followed Bronco Mendenhall from New Mexico to Logan and is expected to be a leader on the team this year. In 2024 with the Lobos, Avinger recorded 91 tackles along with 5 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 interception.
Yeah, Noah Avinger, expecting big things from him. And this is a guy who was, he was 3rd in the Mountain West in tackles last year as a cornerback. So he gets used a lot, and he is used on like corner blitzes. He's had a couple of tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups last year, a fumble recovery, an interception, multiple times earning double-digit tackles in games. So this is somebody who can really affect the game in different ways on the defense. And with his size, it's a great position. He listed at 6 feet, 190 pounds. And I know Bronco Mendenhall and his staff, everybody that I've talked to about him, all have high praise about Noah Avinger and what he brings to the team and how he's going to help as a leader. This is a guy who was at San Diego State, who was at New Mexico, very familiar with the Mountain West, and chose to follow Bronco Mendenhall and his staff to Logan. And what an asset for Bronco and Coach Howell to have on defense. Somebody with that level of experience and production. He was an honorable mention All Mountain West last year, coming into this season to help Utah State. And I don't know, with the news of Ike Larson, if this suspension is true and it's 6 weeks. if Avinger slides over into a safety role from time to time. But there's some real depth in the secondary for Utah State. But Avinger is one who can play the corner. I really like his size. Sometimes we've seen in the past guys that may not have the right size to be wide receivers end up as corners, and then they have to go up against bigger, more physical wide receivers, and sometimes that can be tough on them to hang with those guys. But Avinger has the size and the body to hang with those bigger wide receivers that Utah State may run into through the Mountain West and in their non-conference. So I'm very high on Noah Avinger and how he can help the team with as an impact player on defense, but also as a leader, somebody that this coaching staff trusts and believes in. And I think that's a really big key for this coaching staff. And a lot of high praise for him and what he can do to help this team moving forward on defense. So Noah Avinger, the latest player in our list of top 25 Aggies for 2025. Again, we will continue to highlight these players next week, one each hour, so 2 a day on the Full Court Press through next week. And then we'll also mention some of the honorable mentions, some others that we haven't mentioned or didn't make it in our top 25. There's still a couple others that are worth mentioning. So stay tuned for that over the next week as we continue to go through this list. But besides speaking with him, we're talking about Noah Avinger. I got a chance to get up to practice this afternoon. Actually, it was this morning. And it was in the indoor facility, and catch up with a couple of newcomers, a couple of transfers to Utah State. So first, we've talked about him before, but actually we've talked about both of these players before in our list of Aggies. But since we've been talking defense, let's first play my conversation that I had with John Gayer, outside linebacker at Utah State. He was at San Mateo, used as more of a defensive end, an edge rusher. And so interesting conversation with him about kind of adapting to where the coaches want him here at Utah State, and just overall his journey to Utah State and his interesting path to get here. So let's hear from him, and then we'll get to Brady Boyd coming up in just a moment. John Gayer, defensive player for Utah State, but I want to be specific about your role, because sometimes I see you listed as an outside linebacker, but it seems like you could also be used as an edge rusher. So tell me a little bit about your role and how you're being utilized here at Utah State so far.
Yeah, so right now I'm playing the will position, the will backer, which is outside backer. So we do a combination of edge rushes and pass drops. So it's really just like a mix between a D lineman and an inside linebacker. So yeah, it's been kind of a new experience. I haven't really dropped into coverage as much as in the past, but I'm getting used to it, and I'm feeling good.
Do you prefer left side, right side? Does it matter to you?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I feel like I could go from both sides.
You've had an interesting path to get here, and I want to start at your high school career. It looks like you had some injuries in high school. There's COVID, kind of a shortened year in high school, so it didn't look like you had a lot of opportunities at the high school level. So you go to San Mateo, College of San Mateo, where it seems like that's where things really blossom for you. Just walk me through just that progression and how that kind of helped you evolve as a player.
Yeah, so I had a long journey coming here. It wasn't easy at all. So high school, I played freshman JV. Junior year, I was set to play varsity, but I tore my ACL, so I missed that whole season. Senior year comes around, COVID hits. We don't have a season till the spring, and it's only 5 games. So I only had 5 varsity games of high school. And then after that, I decided I want to go JUCO. I want to get a scholarship because I only had preferred walk-ons out of high school. So decided to go to San Mateo, one of the best JUCOs pretty much in the world. So especially for football, decided to go there. There's a lot of talent there, so I decided to gray shirt, just practice for a year, get stronger in the weight room. Then the next year, 2022, started a few games on that team, and we ended up winning the national championship. So I was feeling pretty good coming off into that spring, and ended up tearing my other ACL one of the last practices that spring. So I missed the whole 2023 season. And that kind of brought me to my 4th year of JUCO, my second year playing, which was last year, and that was pretty much like a combination of all like the preparation I've gone in, all the rehab, and I had my best season. I had 15.5 sacks, and I had the opportunity to play at Cal for a spring, and things just didn't work out. So I hit the portal and then ended up at Utah State, and I couldn't be more happy where I landed.
So tell me about that process, being being in the portal and then seeing what options are out there, then ultimately choosing to come here to Logan. Why did you choose Logan over maybe some of the other options you had?
Yeah, so the first thing that caught my eye was obviously it being in Utah. Like, I was getting a lot of other schools from like Ohio area, like kind of far away. Utah is a little closer to California, and I know it's like a beautiful place to be, so that caught my eye at first. And then once I started to get to know Coach Jorgensen and the staff here, I knew this would be the place for me. It's a pretty similar culture to the JUCO I came from, San Mateo, so I decided this would be the right place. And it's the culture of earn, not given, so everything's earned here. I'm still earning what I have to get, so I found the right spot.
I was going to ask you about Coach Jan Jorgensen, just your relationship with him and how he's helping that linebacker group.
Oh yeah, he's a great coach. Yeah, so he has obviously the BYU background, starting all 4 years, so he has tons of experience, and I feel like he really gives that experience to our whole group, whether it's the defensive ends, the will linebackers, or the Sams. I feel like he does a great job of bringing the group together and giving everyone advice in their own way.
How would you assess kind of that depth that's developing with the linebackers and the defensive ends, because you're kind of mixed into that too?
Yeah, I feel like we have great depth. Everyone in the room is really molded together. They're all locking in, so I feel like the depth at will, at end, and at Sam, we're pretty deep, and we just need to stay healthy and keep getting better, and I feel like we'll have a pretty good position room.
Lastly, I've been pretty much asking everybody this. Just, there's a lot of new players. There's a new coaching staff. Fans haven't been able to see practices. There's no open scrimmages or open practices. So there's a lot of mystery about this team this year. So what would you tell fans about why they should come take a chance on Utah State this season?
I feel like this team is one of the hardest working teams, definitely the hardest working team I've ever been a part of. All the things we've been through, summer ball, all the conditioning, all the workouts, everything, we're held to a total effort standard. So I feel like this team is definitely something to watch out for. You could just look at Coach Mendenhall, his history of success, and I feel like this team has definitely embraced that, and I feel like this team will be no different.
Awesome, John. Thank you so much, and good luck this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun catching up with John Gare, getting to know him a little bit more. Interesting journey to Utah State. And really blossoming at San Mateo, but overcoming some injuries while he was there, but known more as an edge rusher there. But this Utah State coaching staff trying to utilize him more as an outside linebacker, where he can still mix it up on that defensive front from time to time as well. And a very similar description that we got from Inoka Migao when I visited with him. So, interesting to see how the depth is kind of materializing with this the linebackers, with the defensive front at Utah State, and getting excited about this Utah State defense and what they might be able to do with the talent they have available to them. Another guy that's getting me excited is Brady Boyd, and I've been hearing some good things about him. Granted, we can't see much how he's developing, but there are some reports that he is one that has really been shining here in the Utah State fall camp. He is a transfer to Utah State from Texas Tech in the wide receiver room, and he was the next player I got to catch up with after practice earlier today. Stuck to wide receiver Brady Boyd, and first, just how would you assess how fall camp's been going so far for you?
I feel like it's been really good. Offense, we started out a little slow, but, over time we've been connecting and starting to click, just really getting that chemistry between all the skill positions, O-line, quarterback. We're all working as one right now.
So you are a transfer from Texas Tech. Were you involved with Matt Wells at all? Was he involved with you in recruiting at any time? Because I know he was gone by the time you arrived, but was he involved at all in your recruiting initially?
Yeah, so he was one of my first probably 5 offers while he was at Utah State. And then probably 2 weeks after I got that offer, he went over to Texas Tech. So that offer carried over. So, yeah, I knew them real well in recruiting.
Your 3 seasons there at Texas Tech. Opportunities kind of limited here and there, but you did have some opportunities. But what ultimately made you decide to go in the portal and ultimately come to Utah State?
It was my last year, so I really just wanted to get an opportunity to get on the field and show what I have. So, I just entered the portal and just whatever came my way, I was grateful for the opportunity to go play there. And then Coach McGee called me and gave me the opportunity to play here, and I was just grateful. So came here and don't have no regrets.
Did Wells' original influence have anything to do with choosing Utah State?
To be honest, no. Just honestly talking to Coach McGee and his experience in the NFL, just talking to him and hearing what he has to say about NFL wide receiver play, I know that he knew his stuff, so just sounded like a great opportunity.
How would you assess how the wide receiver group is coming along so far here at Utah State?
Oh, we made great strides. I mean, I think there's not really any drop-off anywhere. We can plug and play anyone. I think we're one of the better units on the team. I feel like we're great out there. I'm confident in everyone we have in that room.
How do you feel like your role would be best utilized here at Utah State? Is there a position in the wide receiver group that you feel is best for you and based on your skills and your abilities?
I love the slot, but I'll play anywhere. Anyone or anything the team needs me to do, I'll play whatever position they need me to. Hell, I'll go play tight end if they need me to. Running back, it don't matter. Whatever they need, I'll do it.
You've already kind of talked about the coaching staff, but how are they helping you evolve as a wide receiver?
Just really playing when you're tired. They really push the limits of what you can do out there at practice. So, we call it condition black and condition gray. So just pushing the limits and being able to perform when you're tired and not losing technique when you're tired. I feel like that's the biggest thing that happens with receivers.
And then I've been asking a lot of the guys this when I come and do these interviews, just that there's a lot of new players, but there's also a lot of unknown with the team generally because the fans haven't really seen much in practices or scrimmages. So what would you tell fans about this year's team and how it's coming along and what this season might look like for you guys?
I think it's going to be a great year. Y'all are going to find out that first Saturday, first UTEP. We've been putting in work like crazy. This is the hardest program I've ever been a part of, so I just can't wait for us to all come together and put it out on that field.
Brady Boyd, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, yeah, there's one of the wide receivers for Utah State. We were able to highlight him earlier in our top 25 Aggies of 2025. And I think he's definitely going to be in the mix. Here's a guy that had limited opportunities at Texas Tech. He had some starts here and there, but he's had a good number of snaps, opportunities to take the field. Again, in Big 12 play. But as he said, he could see it was getting hard for him to get on the field and wanted opportunities to play and get out there and make a difference. So leaving that program made the most sense. And looks like he's going to have that opportunity here at Utah State with a lot of new faces in the wide receiver room. And he's been one who's been turning some heads with how he's been approaching practice and some of the plays that he's been making. So watch for him when Utah State plays UTEP coming up on August 30th. I got to take a quick time out here in the Full Court Press. Love to continue to hear from you on our Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321. And a reminder about what's going on tomorrow with Utah State football. We'll update you on that. And then The Athletic has posted coaching tiers and ranking coaches similar together, who's been moving up, who's been moving down. But what do they think about coaches throughout the Mountain West Conference and specifically Bronco Mendenhall among his peers? So we'll reveal that next here on the Full Court Press.
Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning wants to help Cache Valley feel the love. Mountain Valley Heating and Air is giving away 5 fully installed heating and air conditioning units free of charge. Go to mountainvalleyhvac.com and help make a difference one home at a time. That's mtnvalleyhvac.com. Nominate prior to September 1st, 2025. See website for all details.
Hi, Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Friday Night Lights are back, and so is the best high school sports coverage in northern Utah. From Ridgeline to Bear River, Green Canyon to Logan, Skyview to Mountain Crest, Cache Valley Media Group brings fans full play-by-play action on the radio and video all season long. It's going to be an unforgettable year, and your business can be a part of the excitement. Put your brand front and center with thousands of loyal local sports fans. Contact Cache Valley Media Group today. Get your business in the game.
The Aggies are #1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Cache Valley's biggest garage sale is coming up on September 6th. We got items to buy or sell. If you want to stop by and check it out. If you want to sell things, get your booth reserved today. Just go to CacheValleyGarageSale.com. Get your booth reserved. It's going to be at the Eccles Ice Arena, taking over the parking lot there. We did one of these in the spring, and it was awesome. We had hundreds of people showing up. Lots of different vendors were there. There are going to be some food trucks. There's going to be bounce houses. Great venue. So get your spot reserved and get some of that stuff cleared out. You know, there are going to be a lot of new students and new people in the Valley with Utah State getting underway. So a great opportunity to get your stuff cleared out. And if you're looking for great bargains, it's a great place to stop by and fill up on some needed items that you might need as a young student or you're just a good bargain shopper. A great place to do that. So again, CacheValleyGarageSale.com is where you can go to get the details and get a spot reserved. 435-339-0321 is the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. And got this in. We apologize we didn't get to this sooner, but 9315 did send a text in talking about the bigger news of the day. Reports that Ike Larson is going to be suspended for 6 weeks. And it looks like 6 weeks, not necessarily 6 games. So again, we're working to confirm that and get more details on that. But 9315 reacting to that, saying, I think the suspension will make all the players at USU know that Bronco is not joking when it comes to discipline. Yeah, it's very true. I mean, if you want to set the tone of what, you know, how serious you are about your program and your rules, sometimes you have to make the highest profile player an example. I'm not saying he's necessarily just picking out Ike Larson and picking on him specifically, because I don't know the details here, but it does illustrate that whether you're a star player or a new player, the rules are the rules, and the consequences are going to follow that. So again, we're working on the details on what's at play here and what occurred. I don't know if they'll share those specific details, but how that could impact a high-profile athlete for Utah State in Ike Larson for this upcoming season. But you're right; it does send a strong message that this coaching staff they don't care if you're a high-profile athlete or not. If you break their rules, then you will have consequences for that. Interesting list. Speaking of Bronco Mendenhall, The Athletic recently published a list of coaching tiers throughout college football, and this was published by Chris Vanini earlier this week. It was updated yesterday. So there does have one notable absence from the Mountain West. Jason Eck at New Mexico is not on this list, which is surprising. I would probably guess where he would end up if where he should be placed. I would put him in tier 8, which is labeled hottest seats and freshest faces, just where he's new. That would be the most likely spot to put him, but he's not listed there. But there are 8 different tiers in which they group these coaches. The top tier overall is multi-time champs. There's only 2 coaches in that tier. That's Kirby Smart and Dabo Swinney. Then tier 2 is a group of established winners. And there's a good number of coaches in there. A lot of brand names, recognizable names. Kyle Whittingham is on that list in tier 2. And then you get into tier 3, high-level consistency. And this is probably the biggest group of coaches in there. And this is where we start to see some Mountain West coaches appear. Troy Calhoun is on this list. Spencer Danielson appears on the list, as does Bronco Mendenhall, and newcomer to the conference, Dan Mullen. Now, his inclusion is mostly based on what he did in Florida and in Mississippi, Mississippi State, excuse me. But he's been a little bit removed from coaching, but his experience and his success at those other places is what kind of puts him in tier 3 among those other coaches. And then there's tier 4, rising stars and steady hands. No Mountain West coaches in that list, although we do find Kalani Sitake in there from BYU. Then you have to go in Mike Elko, Texas A&M. Utah State will face him early in the season. And then you get into tier 5. These are up and down coaches. And this is where we find a few other Mountain West coaches. Sean Lewis at San Diego State and Ken Nuimatalolo from San Jose. And I'll be a little surprised that Sean Lewis, I think, is probably more on the down than on the up. And Ken Nuimatalolo is more on the up than the down. But these are coaches who it's just Sean Lewis hasn't really shown me a heck of a whole lot yet. But Ken has a long track record as a coach, and he's had some ups and downs at Navy, but certainly doing a solid job at San Jose. And then the next group, we only have one Mountain West coach in this group. This is tier 6, show me seasons ahead, and that's Jay Norvell. And these are a group of coaches that need to show a little bit more. So there's going to be a little bit more pressure on them to show what they've got. If they can do a little bit more than what they've been able to do so far. And according to the Athletic, says this is a collection of coaches who need to show more with a few on the way up. And I think Jay Norvell is one of those that needs to show a little bit more. Tier 7, we find another Mountain West coach here. This is works in progress. This is where we find Jeff Choate at Nevada. And I think that's an apt description for him. Trying to turn some things around, trying to establish some things at Nevada. They've had a struggling, I want to say, program for the last little while, and just trying to get some traction at Nevada. And so he is among a few other coaches in this tier 7 with works in progress. And then finally in tier 8, hottest seats and freshest faces. Again, this is where I would probably put Coach Jason Eck from New Mexico, just because he's a fresh face and he's new and unproven. But then there are some other coaches here that there's some pressure on them to see what they can do. And that's where we find Timmy Chang and Jay Savell. These are some coaches that are still relatively new in their positions, but short tenured coaches who haven't yet really had good seasons. So, what can they do? Are they showing that they can really turn some things around? Do they really have promise in these locations? Or is it just going to be much of the same, which means, kind of falling a little bit short for their respective schools? So your thoughts on that, these different tiers of coaches throughout the Mountain West Conference, and some other notable coaches as mentioned. But Bronco Mendenhall in tier 3 in the high-level consistency. And we look at his body of work as a head coach over the entirety of his career. I think that's a very appropriate place for Coach Mendenhall and what he has accomplished over his career. I don't know that I would necessarily put him much higher. I don't think I can put him in tier 2 just yet, but you can start to make an argument for it. If he starts to win at a high level here at Utah State again, then you can't put him in this tier of established winners. But got to see what he can do in his inaugural year in Logan. So that's the athletics tier list of college coaches throughout the Mountain West Conference. One other thing to pass along and to remind you, speaking of Utah State football, they are not doing a fall blue-white scrimmage, but they are going to do a football family fun day, and that's tomorrow. And that's from 12:30 to 3. It'll be there on the field on Merlin Olsen Field. It'll be a practice, so there will be some things that they'll be doing, some different drills. There'll be a youth clinic on the field, but there's also going to be some fun fan activities on the concourse. There'll be opportunities for autographs from 1:30 to 2:30. There's going to be inflatables. There'll be food trucks, a mechanical bull. Mountain West Autos hosting a car show on the facility. There's going to be some face painting. So there's going to be some fun activities. And really for the fans who are really eager to hear and learn more about the football team before August 30th when Utah State hosts UTEP, this is your chance to meet the players. This is your chance to see them in person, your chance to get some autographs and visit with them, but also see them on the field a little bit, running around. They won't have numbers on their jerseys. They didn't have numbers on their jerseys today. I don't think they're going to have them tomorrow. They do have their names printed on the back of the jersey, so you might have to squint to see exactly who's who out there doing the drills. But this will be a great opportunity for fans, really the only opportunity for fans to get to the stadium to see this football team before they fully suit up to take on UTEP on August 30th. So again, that'll be taking place at Merlin Olsen Field from 12:30 to 3 in the afternoon on Saturday. And besides watching the team practice, again, opportunities for autographs, inflatables, food trucks, mechanical bull, face painting. So should be a lot of fun. Hopefully a lot of people show up, and weather should be great for that, and see what this team's all about and learn more about the players. Meet them in person, shake their hands, get an autograph, and see what they look like on the field tomorrow afternoon. Quick timeout. When we come back, we'll look at who's in action this weekend in the NFL, especially the chance to see some former Aggies suiting up as they try to get roster spots. NFL preseason continues on this weekend. We'll point out some specific games to keep an eye on next here on the Full Court Press.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A few years ago, I saw this sign hanging in a gas station. It said price, quality, service. Pick 2 out of the 3. Now, it's funny, and I did laugh, but at My Mattress, we don't even want to do business unless we can do all 3. Price, quality, and service. We have a 90-day sleep guarantee, 90-day price guarantee, and we will answer the phone if you have a warranty concern. At My Mattress, we deliver, we have financing, we strive to be price, quality, and service every day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They were voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah for the 5th year in a row in the fireplace retrofit category. Be ready when the government's next wood and pellet replacement incentives pop up. Advanced Fireplace can help you navigate the paperwork. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove, 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Hi, it's Emily, and here at Serenoni, we start with the thread, literally. We knit all of our own fabrics so we can control the softness, the weight, and the quality. So your blanket isn't just soft at first, it stays soft, strong, and beautiful over time. From our softest minky to lush, stretch, cotton muslin, and waffle, we create comfort that holds up, from newborn snuggles to movie nights. Established in 2006 right here in Logan, come experience the quality for yourself at our store on 10th West next to iFit. Serenoni, wrapped in comfort, gifted with love.
This is Detective Johnson from the Logan City Police Department. Scams in our community are on the rise and innocent victims are losing thousands of dollars. These scams are coming in the form of phony phone calls claiming to be from government organizations or legitimate businesses. They are also circulating on social media and emails. Almost all of these scams are asking for payment through gift cards that are almost impossible to track. No legitimate business or organization uses gift cards as currency. If you receive a scam of this nature, do not give the scammers any information and immediately call police. Remember, pause, Stop. Call a cop.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Congratulations to all the gold and silver winners in the Best of Northern Utah contest. To see the winners, to see who won gold and silver, learn more about their locations and what they do and how they were recognized, just go to bestofnorthernutah.com. It's also where you can find out how to find your own magazine. And we've got dozens of places around the area where you can get your own magazine for yourself. Have a great guide for these different businesses and organizations in our community who were recognized earlier this year. bestofnorthernutah.com. Got a couple of former Aggies hoping to be the best, at least on the roster, trying to make a roster here in the preseason. We've got a game tonight on the NFL Network featuring one of those. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're at the Seahawks at 8 o'clock this evening. Jalen Royals, he's been playing well so far for Kansas City. And I suspect that he'll be just fine making their roster. But here's another opportunity to watch him and to see what he gets to do in a Chiefs uniform, see if he gets used more in the receiving game. He was used a little bit in the return game as well for Kansas City. But how does he continue to progress for the Chiefs? Again, 8 o'clock tonight on NFL Network. And then a couple other Aggies are going to be involved this weekend, where you've got the Chargers and the Rams squaring off in SoFi. Wyatt Bolts, offensive lineman for Utah State, is playing for the LA Rams. Played a lot of snaps in their last preseason game. Will he be utilized similarly on Saturday afternoon? It's a 5 o'clock kick is when that game kicks off. Doesn't look like there's any national broadcast of that game, but keep an eye on that one. And then later that evening, also on NFL Network, it's the Denver Broncos, as they are going to be taking on the Cardinals. And for Arizona, that'll be on the NFL Network, kicking off at 7:30. And Kyrese Rowan, will we see him utilized a little bit more? He only had one target last time that they played. There's been some other reports that really high on him and how he has been performing in practices recently. So will he get a larger opportunity this Saturday night when the Broncos host the Cardinals? And for fans who want to check it out, a lot of Denver fans around here, it'll be 7:30 on the NFL Network. So a lot of different games in action throughout the weekend. There are a couple of games on Sunday. NFL Network has the Jaguars at the Saints, 11 a.m. on Sunday. And then at 6 o'clock on Fox, it's the Bills at the Bears. And just FYI, on Monday on ESPN, Monday at 6, it'll be the Bengals at the Commanders. So it's a busy weekend for the NFL. As their preseason games continue, they try to continue to monitor their rosters to see how they want to construct their rosters, who's standing out, players that have different opportunities. And sometimes this is about getting a roster spot. For others, it's a chance to make the practice squad and be available when injuries happen so they can get called up. And certainly looks like Jalen Royals is going to be fine. Wyatt Bowles, he could be in the mix for the Rams. And this will be an interesting weekend for Kyrese Rowan. Hopefully he gets to be utilized and featured a little bit more for the Broncos when they play tomorrow against the Cardinals in Denver. So a couple different games going on and opportunities to watch both Jalen Royals tonight, 8 o'clock on NFL Network. And then Saturday night, you can watch Denver as they take on the Cardinals. Unfortunately, no TV broadcast for the Rams, and they take on the Chargers for Wyatt Bowles. And looks like Jordan Love is not going to be participating in any more preseason games with that surgery and his non-throwing hand on his thumb. Nothing too significant, but we want to make sure he's healed and taken care of. Again, one last reminder to go up to the Utah State Family Fun Day tomorrow afternoon from 12:30 to 3. there at the stadium. Aggies will do some practice drills on the field, and then opportunities to do interviews or some autographs and mingle with the athletes after that. But there'll be inflatables and food trucks and a lot of other fun activities going on Saturday afternoon. So go check that out and get to see what this football team is going to look like on Saturday afternoon in Logan. That's going to do it for us. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You asked, begged, and even pleaded, and the heavens heard you. KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM.